Hey there. Good morning and welcome to another edition of No F's Given, the podcast that keeps it real. And this podcast and others in the Jazzy Groove Rainy Day podcast family are brought to you by the Power of Five. If you like what we're doing, show your love and support, and at the very least, hit the like button. And with that being said, let's get involved. Today, I was watching a debate between Pearl Davis from Just Pearly Things. Shout out to you, Pearl. And I don't know this guy's name. I just know he's a TradCon from the Daily Wire. And I watched him get into it, and I've watched maybe 2-3 minutes of it. So we're gonna get into this, and I'm gonna be stopping it, and we're going to really break it down and see where everybody's coming from and make our own informed choices at the end of it. So with that being said, let's get into it.
In liberal New York until 2010. That change alone, it wouldn't solve the problem, but it would go a long way towards
Yeah,
solving the
but
problem.
that generation, a lot of them were separated anyways.
Separation is one thing. Divorce is quite another. Because that would mitigate all the problems you're describing.
I would be for it. I just don't see that getting passed anytime soon.
I don't see any of these laws getting passed. That's why I'm telling men don't put off your life and put off having a family until the laws get passed.
Well, I think...
Whoa. With the statistics and data that we have at our fingertips today, thanks to the advent of the internet, without knowing what the pitfalls could be, you run a significantly higher risk of crashing and burning in today's society. That you can't even argue that. That's not up for debate. That is a cold, hard, logical fact. And for you to even think otherwise is disingenuous at best and stupid at worst. I don't understand how you can talk the way you talk. I don't think anyone should forego marriage. No. I got lucky. I was on the tail end of what a successful marriage could look like. I got lucky. And it wasn't to an American that I married, because I dealt with Americans. And the bad behavior has only gotten worse. If I didn't get married back in '96, I don't know if I'd be married today. I doubt it. Very seriously doubt it. And yet you're going to sit there and tell me that I should just get married? For what? Why should I get married? The woman could take half of everything I own. Make me sell my house, sell my car, take half of my earnings, take my children. And let's keep it real. Children are the greatest gift that people could ever have, because that's a part of you. And to think that out of spite, someone could take them from you, it begs the question, why do it? Why the heck should I put myself at that big a risk? That's like coming to the plate. You got 2 strikes, and the minute you step up to the plate, the ball's halfway down the mound coming at you. There's no time to even put up a defense. And yet these TradCons want you to do that. Now I want you guys to pay attention to this very carefully, because Pearl says something, and when she says it, I'm going to stop it and we're going to discuss it. But let's just play for a little bit now.
We would have a lot better chance of getting them passed if that was the #1 issue you guys were talking about. If that was the #1 issue.
It is. I don't think I'm exaggerating.
Okay.
It might be the #1 issue I've talked about. I mean, I was just at CPAC, and I got in all sorts of trouble for saying that the way that people describe marriage these days is wrong, and marriage is a lifelong union between a man and a woman.
Right, but you would agree it's not how it's practiced today.
It is how it's practiced by the people who have reasonable marriages.
You would agree it's not how it's practiced today, not in the special religion, but by and large?
Again, when you say special religion,
you notice he won't answer the question. He won't answer it. The question was simple. Is this how you think it is practiced by and large today? Meaning not religious, secularly. Is this the way it's practiced? And he can't answer the question because the answer is no. For all the reasons I stated earlier. Women have all the power today. They just don't know how to use it effectively. Because if they did, they would make a bad decision infinitely worse for us. Now, is this indicative of everybody? Of course not. No one ever said it was. But it is prevalent more times than it's not, to the point where it is beyond a statistical blip. It is a growingly alarming trend that is being perpetuated today. Let's get back.
It seems to me you're trying to marginalize the Catholic faith or other faiths.
I'm Catholic.
I suppose.
And this is why I'm not Catholic. Because now he's trying to shame her. You're trying to marginalize the Catholic faith. No, she's not. No, she's not. She's talking about things that she's passionate about that she perceives as wrong. You're being intractable. That's not the way it is. That's not what she's saying.
But I think you're marginalizing it anyway. But religion is just a habit of virtue that inclines the will to give to God what He deserves, right? So it's just kind of the way that one.
Sorry, the reason I say that is because I grew up in the Catholic faith, and I don't think that exempts men from the risk of getting married. You know,
there's one of the many money shots she's going to give today. Just because you're religious does not mean that this can't happen to you. Earlier in the interview, she stated that she knew a guy who married a traditional Catholic woman, Orthodox, all that good stuff, and she still took the poor guy to the cleaners. And then there were text messages during trial later that showed she was going to do it. And served no jail time, no repercussions, no consequences at all for her actions. I say bull fuck. How can you defend against something like that? if you knew that you could rob a bank, get caught for it, and have no consequences for it, what would stop you from doing it? At some point, you'd be more than tempted. You'd actually go and do it because, hey, nothing's going to happen to you. So, yeah, I'm going to do it. That's what she's saying. That's the point she's trying to make. Men today, regardless of what they believe, whether it's religious or secular, run a significant risk of having their lives turned upside down through divorce. And there once was a time, not all that long ago, where divorce was a bad word. You just didn't do that. You worked it out. Now, I will say this. If you were an abuser, and by that, I'm specifically saying you raised your hand to strike your mate, then yes, divorce them. Get as far away from them as humanly possible. Society should protect you from that. But emotional abuse, financial abuse, buck it up, buttercup. Get your big people drawers on and handle it. Let's get back.
One girl I interviewed, she was from Latin Mass, like one of those communities. And she had horrible parental alienation. I mean, her mother, there's a whole book that it's called How to Destroy a Man. And it lays out the framework exactly for how women can legally destroy a man, take his assets, take his children, and ruin his reputation.
I wouldn't recommend
this is
reading
a step.
it. Yeah.
This is a step. No, I've read it. No, I mean, not for that, but it's like a step-by-step guide. And this mother did it. And this was in a Latin Mass, like Orthodox community. And that's why I say,
yeah, again, because of these terms are sort of ambiguous and contradictory even in this case. So
No, they're not. No, they're not. They're not ambiguous. You don't want to see it. So to you, they're ambiguous. No, they're not. This woman comes from a traditional Christian background and watched her mother go through the same playbook that her secular people also have to ruin a man's life. How many times do you think that men are going to deal with this before they wake up and go, enough is enough? Pump your brakes. I'm getting out and I'm not looking back. That is why we're driving off a cliff now. It's one of the many reasons, but that's a very big reason. We're below replacement thresholds in every major civilization on the planet. None of the developed nations can say that they're in the positive. They're all in the negative. They're all looking at a deficit. And of course, there are many reasons for that. Reasons that we'll get into another podcast, another topics, and other times. But the end result is this. We are not replacing ourselves fast enough. We run the very real risk of dying out as a species. And the planet's not worried about it because the planet is resilient. It'll find a way to replenish itself, do something else.
I'd be curious to see the actual case.
Well,
that you're
I guess what I would say is sometimes women have feelings about religion at 22, and at 42 they change. And there's no consequence for women leaving right now.
Money shot number 2. Women can say and do whatever they want without any fear of any consequence whatsoever. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. I'll wait.
People could change their minds at any given time.
Correct. But in fact, they're paid to do so. And so I will never shame men for making a decision that's right for them.
You know, to be so young with so much insight is truly a joy to behold. Now, granted, a lot of stuff that she's found out through the documentary that she's going to be releasing soon is statistics and anecdotes and facts and everything else that most people don't know. And most people shouldn't know. But then again, at the same time, they need to know. She's coming at this discussion with receipts. She's coming at this decision with stats and figures and data. And a lot of what the guy's doing, he is doing a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? Misogyny. But not misogyny in the sense that he hates women. No, he doesn't hate women or he wouldn't be there. But he's talking down to her. He's talking at her. He's talking around her. He's talking through her. He's not talking at her. He's not listening. He's got a sheet of bullet points that he's going to parse and go through. And he's going to do it. And he's not going to let a little thing like statistics and facts get in his way. And that's the problem with TradCons. Because I think TradCon, which is an abbreviation of traditional conservatives, is an oxymoron. Because conservatism in and of itself is a dead ideology. Yeah, I said it. It's dead. And it's dead because life is progressive. You can't deny progress because progress is the act of going forward. Not standing in place and certainly not going backwards. Conservatism is the idea of keeping things the way they are, aka the status quo. Make America Great Again is the poster child of conservatism. To that I say, when the hell was it great? When was it ever great? Excuse me, Mr. Native American, was it great? No. Mr. African, was it great? No. Mr. Irishman, was it great? No. Mr. Japanese, was it great? No. Mr. Chinese, was it great? No. Mr. Korean, was it great? No. So many people would disagree with that assumption. America's never been great unless you've been a straight, white, heterosexual male. A wasp. Then you might think it was, but then again, even then it wasn't, because there were plenty of wasps that weren't successful. Hence the old saying. No, it might have been Woodrow Wilson. I don't remember who it was, but he said the best way for a white man to keep a black man down. No. I forget. I'm gonna have to look it up. But he basically said that the best way to keep a white man up is to look down on a black person. And we've always been the bane of everyone's existence. It always comes back to us. We people who are darker than blue. Shout out to the late, great Curtis Mayfield. We people who are darker than blue. And you gotta ask yourself, even that notwithstanding, putting that aside for a minute, you gotta ask yourself, how much shit am I supposed to take before I snap, before I become emotional? Because I don't have much room left. I'm being backed into a corner. My options are dwindling by the minute. And I want to survive. And we all know that when men become emotional, people start to die. Which is why we can't afford to be emotional. And that is another thing that women like to put on men that'll hopefully never happen. The more emotional we get, the more we tend to break things and break people. Nobody wants that. Nobody. Let's get back to it.
But you're going further than not shaming them. I think we've gotten to the point where you've said it's at least a good strategy to walk away from the institution of marriage until the laws have changed. You just said that.
I say, do whatever you want, guys. But no, I said
to me.
I said, regardless of what I say, men will walk away.
So let's establish.
He's not listening to you, Pearl. He's not listening to you. He's not listening to you. You have a better chance talking to a wall because at least you understand the wall can't hear you. You have a better conversation talking to yourself.
Establish men won't listen to Pearl, as you just said. Let's establish that you think men ought to make their own decisions, as we've long established. You also just said it is a good strategy for men to walk away from the institution of marriage until the laws change. You just said that.
No, I was talking about the vote.
Duh. And he was talking about the vote. She was talking about that. She said men should go their own way and abstain from voting until the rules change. Where does marriage fit into that? Did you hear no? Or v as in vote. But He doesn't hear you. He doesn't hear you, which is why he can make such a preposterous statement. He's straight triggered. He's just holding it in very well. But he's triggered. Make no mistake about it. Don't get it twisted. He went on for a good 3 to 4 minutes about what she said about not getting married. That's not what she said. And even still, she's not advising anything. She's making a suggestion. And we, as the viewers, make the decision based upon how she presents her suggestion. That's how we do it. Because, newsflash, sir, we're not stupid. I understand the rubes that you deal with all monolith with one-track minds. We're not like that.
Walk away from the
voting,
the ballot box.
That was the ballot box.
Until the okay.
I said
so at the very least we've.
I said that's a strategy that men can do.
A good strategy,
but
not just a bad strategy.
I mean, how else? I mean, what have conservatives succeeded in conserving the last 50 years?
Now, pay real close attention, because this is a Catholic, a fellow conservative. Make these points. Listen very, very carefully.
Not so much as the women's bathroom, I guess. but
so you're asking them to get on a team that's losing.
Right. I mean, that's what Whittaker Chambers said when he left being a communist to become a conservative. Right. He thought he was joining the losing team. And maybe that's the case. I mean, in the long run, we're all dead, and the world's going to fall to pot, and then the second.
Blah 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 blah. Ma. Word salad. Filler, if you will. It has no bearing on this conversation. And that's what he's good at. That's what he's good at. Word salad, fluff, and pointless meandering. Oh, he may get there eventually, but not before he's completely bored you to tears with his nonsensical rambling.
Second coming will occur, but that's not an excuse to avoid doing what is just and good and right and in line with our natural desires.
But it's not unjust for men to not want to have children.
It's disordered. It's disordered for men not to.
We have priests.
Yeah.
Pearl said it's not wrong for men not to want to have children. And why did she say that? Because if men don't have children, that's one less thing that women can hold over them when they go for divorce. And that's a big component because that's money that women won't see. Alimony is bad enough. Alimony and child support together will bankrupt you. They'll bankrupt you. So she's suggesting that she understands why men don't want to have children. She didn't say she agrees with it. She says she understands it. And you can have both. I don't agree with men that cheat on women that are not being satisfied at home. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. I don't agree. I don't. Let's get this point painfully clear. I don't condone cheating. Full stop. And one of those ways of cheating, men tend to cheat on women when they're not getting what they need at home. Do I agree with that? No. But I do understand it. I understand why.
Clerical life, some are called by the charism of celibacy, but for most men, and by the way, they're called to the charism of celibacy in the priesthood because the priests act in the person of Christ, who is the bridegroom of the church. But for people who are not following a religious vocation, they are called to family life.
Okay, if there are not enough wives, what are men supposed to do?
It's about 50-50 in the population.
Bullshit. Women outnumber men globally at least 7-1. There are more women on this planet than guys. That is a biological fact. That is not up for debate. There are more women on this planet than men. And it doesn't matter how that happened. What matters is that it has happened. Now you can say, oh, the men are in charge of the XY, XX chromosomes, and it's them that make it happen. Whatever. Don't care. The fact of the matter is that it did happen. And today, there are more women on this planet than men. So the whole, there's someone for everybody, that's all thrown the fuck out the window. That's all gone. That's been thoroughly debunked at this point. Simply because there are more women on this planet than men. You can pair up every man with every woman and still have a surplus of women that have nobody. And that's simply playing the numbers. Let's add into the fact that women are picky, way pickier than we are. And they have height requirements, monetary requirements, charisma requirements, personality requirements, weight requirements, and a plethora of things that I'm not even mentioning at this point. And that small group gets even smaller. And then you can say, well, then women have to settle. No, you don't. You simply magically remember where your status is. We guys, we wind up settling because we want something, and as we get older, we realize, okay, my requirements, as little as they are, I'm not going to get all of them. So let me see which ones I get that are very important to me. And we'll go from there. That's settling. That's compromise, which is something women, by and all, not all of them, not all of them, but women for the most part don't do that. They don't compromise because if they did, there'd be more happy marriages today. And there isn't. There'd be way more happy marriages because they realize I can't have what I want. So let me see of my laundry list of preferences in a guy, how many of these I can match. And to the ones that I can't match, we'll just have to put them aside and hope for the best at what I can get. Remember, guys want fit, feminine, and friendly, and it doesn't have to be all three. We'll take one. Two, oh man, we've hit the mother load. And three, we're in heaven. Now, are there other ones that come into play? Yes, there are. But that's really what we're looking for. Sex, sandwiches, and silence. Sex keep us happy physically. Sandwiches keep us happy in a bodily way. Silence is stimulus. We don't want to talk all the time. We don't have to talk all the time. So there are times when we just want quiet. It's not that we don't love you. We do. But there are times when the world is too much and a guy needs silence. Let him watch television for 10, 15, 20 minutes. It's not going to kill you. On the sexual front, he wants sex, give it to him. And to those that say, oh, what about when I have a headache? I've got a great counter for that. And I never thought about it till I heard it recently. And that's this. If you wake up one morning and you know you have to go to work, do you, I don't know how to say this. If your boss calls you and tells you you have to come to work, do you tell him, not today, I have a headache? You don't do that, not for the most part. Now, there are times when you will do that because you need a day off. I get that. But for the most part, you would never do that. And that is to be in service to a man who's given you absolutely, positively, and emphatically nothing. But you won't give the same consideration to a guy who gives you everything. Okay, he doesn't give it to you monetarily. He gives you resources and time and attention. You're always getting time and attention. Always. And he gives you his resources as and when he can. The more resources he has, the more he gives them to you. But I digress. I ate my meander. I got a headache. Oh. Let's continue.
If there are not enough wives, what are men supposed to do?
There is basically parity between men and women. So
He's feminine. There's not parity is equality. If you're conservative, there's no such thing as equality. So what the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? Parity is a synonym for equality. Not equity, equality. Meaning equal. Both are the same. And conservatism doesn't believe in equality. So if you don't believe in equality, how can it be parity? I await your instructions. How do you square this one?
So there are enough wives.
Okay. Well, then I'm sure you'll see a spike in the men signing up.
No, I agree that there's a great deal of selfishness and liberalism, but I think that's the view that you.
Fuck you and your liberalism. You say like it's a bad word. Well, to me, conservatism is a curse word. Looking all smug and condescending on everything. Talking at people and not to them. And not with them.
You are articulating, and the view of the red pill people is basically a view that presumes a liberal, secular, individualist anthropology that is contrary to natural.
No! And that's why TradCons are going to destroy themselves. They have natural allies in the red pill community, and they don't see it. Because it's not their worldview, it has to be liberal. No. And as a person with functioning brain cells, I know that I'm in the middle. I'm a moderate. I'm an independent. There are some things that are conservative I like. There's some things that are liberal that I like. And I take the things that I like and discard the rest of each side. And what's left is what makes me, me. This guy. You have a natural ally sitting across from you and you don't see it. And I hope you never see it.
Reason in the flourishing of men.
No, I would disagree with that.
How am I wrong? You're saying men ought to just pursue their own interests regardless of, say,
I think
nature.
When you have a smoking gun, I mean, that's essentially what it, like, I tell you these stories and you just say, sign up anyways.
I'm saying,
tell me you're not saying that. Tell me you're not saying that shit. Tell me you're not saying that. Oh, I know it's bad, but here, get married anyway. It'll work out for you. Yeah, and how is that working out now? MGTOW is a phenomenon that is growing exponentially. And MGTOW is an acronym for men going their own way. They're not getting married. They're not even dating. They're living their life. It's a growing phenomenon. But you don't see that, do you? You don't see that. Black pill is growing. And black pill is nihilism, I think. In the comments, let me know if I'm right or wrong. If I'm wrong, I stand corrected. But even that as it may, these movements are gaining steam because more and more people are starting to find out the juice isn't worth the squeeze. It's just not. If it's not worth the squeeze, then why am I even going to the fruit? I'm not even going to go to the fruit. There are other things I can do in my life. And as I said before, I'm lucky that I met my wife and married her when I did. There have been ups, there have been downs, sure. But the good days outweigh the bad days. And I'm making an effort, a conscious effort, to increase those good days and decrease those bad days. I got some decisions I got to make that aren't very pleasant. I'm not going to like making them, and yet I will make them. Why? Because I know that at the end of days, when everything is said and done, it will have made my life better, and by extension, my family's life better. Let's get back to it.
Prudent. But I'm saying be prudent in everything in life. You know, you could get in a car and get in a car accident because of the other day, a teenage girl driver, another girl hit me while I was driving. But I'm not saying don't get in a car. I'm saying
but if I get into a car and I see 30% of people crashing, I'm not getting into that car, regardless of the 10% of people that succeed.
But then even further, to use your airplane analogy, I guess the difference is getting on an airplane and going to Hawaii would be a nice thing to do, and I might like to do it sometime. Getting married and having children is not merely a nice thing to do that I might, in my subjective preferences, like to engage in, but it is an aspect of my nature. It is an aspect of my purpose to which I am aimed. That's the difference. That's why.
No. Marriage is a choice. It's not a duty. Because you can get the same results simply by having sex and sticking around. Monogamy is a choice. I'm a proponent for both of those. Yes, I do advocate for them. If you can, you should get married. If you can, you should be monogamous. If you're not, you're not. That has nothing to do with me. I can tell you or I can show you what can be done, but I can't make you do it. That old saying comes to mind again. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
I say
do you think men's masculinity comes from marriage?
I think men's masculinity and virility comes from their nature as men.
Do you think, but you don't think it comes from marriage?
I think that marriage fulfills a man's purpose, and in as much as he is more a man, the more he fulfills his purpose.
You think marriage is a man's purpose?
I think that, man's ultimate purpose is to know God and...
And then he falls back on the biblical stuff. Man's true purpose is to know God. What if you don't believe? What if you don't believe that? And let's face it, church memberships have been declining steadily for the past decade. more and more people are falling out of favor with the church. Because you look at it and all this tomfoolery that goes around, you go, how can this be? How can this be? If there is a God out there and he cares about us, why is he letting this happen? We're at a pivotal point in our existence as people. We've gone over the cliff. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. When we hit the bottom, not if. We've gone past that decision gate. And we all went laughing and singing. Not if, when.
To serve him in this world and enjoy him forever in eternity.
Okay. But so it wouldn't be
but
marriage?
subsidiary aspects of that would be for lay people, for instance, to get married, which is a symbol of Christ's love for his church, and to but even taking religion.
But I'm asking, can I get a yes or no? Do you think?
Well, I'm trying to explain to you.
Ahead,
You're getting word salad, Pearl. You're getting word salad. She asked a simple question, yes or no. But you can't answer it, because if you answered it, you might prove her right. That's when you know you got somebody in the ropes in the debate. When you ask them a question and they start hemming and hawing, going around the houses. That's when you know you got them. And that's when you simply go, yes or no. Yes or no. Yes or no. I asked the question, yes or no. Simple answer. One syllable. Yes, no. Which one is it?
The answer to the question you're asking. Mm-hmm. But if you say, what's a man's purpose? And my purpose in this conversation is to talk to you.
Okay.
That's one purpose. Mm-hmm. A purpose is also to get to the nature of this question of marriage.
Okay.
Another purpose is to communicate that to the audience. So there are all sorts of purposes that we have. We have higher purposes and lower purposes. And so when you ask, is marriage part of a man's purpose? I say it is. It's not man's ultimate purpose, but it is a symbol of his ultimate purpose, and it is a constituent part of his.
How can it be a symbol? Wait a minute. How can it be a symbol? I'm listening. How the heck can it be a symbol of your purpose when you don't know your purpose? I'm confused. She just confused me. Let's go back for a second and think about what was said. Let's think about Pearl's question. Is it a man's purpose to be married? Is it what makes a man to be married? No, it doesn't. It helps to a certain degree. But it's not your purpose. Your purpose is what makes you you. My purpose overarchingly is knowledge, education, these podcasts that I do, the letters that you guys are going to be getting real soon that I write, the music that I create, the shows that I do. That's all about education. Sure, it's entertaining. It'll make you laugh. It may make you cry. It definitely makes you think. And that is my purpose. That's what I'm here to do. That's what I'm here for. Everything else is a happy second. The music that I write has helped me make a lot of friends and acquaintances over the years. It's a bonus. I do it regardless. Because I do it for me. I do it for me. The fact that you like it is a happy coincidence. It's not necessary. Not really, not to me. Which is why my music struggles as much as it does. It's not anywhere near where I think it should be. But I'm okay with that because that's not why I do it. I don't do it for the fame. I don't do it for the fortune. I don't do it for the money. I do it because I like it. That's why I do it. And the day I stop doing it will be the day I stop liking it. And I don't see that day coming anytime soon because I enjoy it too much. That's why I do it. The podcast that I do, we don't have the numbers that I want. But I do it anyway. I told you that from day one. I do it because I like doing it. It brings me joy. Even when I get upset and frustrated like I am now. Overall, I get a kick out of doing it. It makes me happy. I forgot my train of thought now. Hold on a minute. Okay. We moved on a little bit in the video. Let's see what is said now.
Women select for tall, handsome, successful men.
That's how I describe myself.
But you see, so you're attributing it to marriage. And I'm saying the men that women pick are happy anyways.
True that. True that.
You're saying happier people are more inclined to get married.
No. Well, partially, but no, I'm saying that women pick tall, handsome, successful men, and I would imagine that they would be happier.
Because the men are hot and rich.
No, not hot. Why are you doing that?
That's what you just...
This man. This man is infuriating, to say the least. You can say something and he'll find the littlest thing that advances his agenda and interject it into there. That's not what was said. That's like saying, it's a beautiful day. The sky is a beautiful shade of blue. And he turns around, yeah, but it's going to rain. Because water falls out the sky. What? What? What does that have to do with anything? Again, what does it have to do with the cost of tea in China? Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Just said
tall, handsome, successful,
I said hot.
happy.
You said tall.
We could add in happy. I mean, do women tend to, women tend to want tall, happy, successful men. So I wouldn't necessarily just attribute it to marriage, even though in some cases that helps.
And I called it. I said it helps. Marriage is not a man's oh wow. Marriage is not a man's purpose. It's a unintended side consequence. And it's a positive consequence. But it's not the end all be all. It was not my purpose to marry my wife. That's not what I was put on this earth for. Your purpose is what makes you get out of bed in the morning. That's your purpose. Work is not my purpose. My children are my purpose. The love I have for my wife can be my purpose. Because it is why I get out of bed every day. Because I want to make her happy. So I do the things that I do to make her happy. And that's not me being a simp. Because what I do for her, she does in return to me. And it may not be the same thing. But we're not the same. So I don't expect the same from her. She helps keep me grounded. She can help me see maybe you should go another way. And in the end, that's my decision. She tells me, she gives me the reasons for why she doesn't think a certain thing should be, and then leaves it to me to make them. Let's get back to it.
I'm having a little trouble following. You're saying because
you guys always attribute if a man's happy, it's because of his marriage.
I'm just saying there are other. I'm just saying married people are okay, in as much as one can measure happiness. Married people seem to be significantly happier than unmarried people.
Okay.
But again,
men will sign right up.
But I don't. I think people do things that are extremely perverse today because of largely because of individualism and liberalism. But even that word happiness is important because we say we can't measure happiness. Mm-hmm. I don't even know that we can define happiness now.
Okay.
Yes, you can. Happiness are doing things that are pleasing to you. They give you joy. They give you satisfaction. They give you purpose. Writing music makes me happy. It gives me happiness. And also, that being said, I do also know that happiness is transitory. It is a feeling. It is a fleeting emotion that can change just as quickly as it appears. It can disappear just as quickly as it appears.
What do we even mean by happiness?
Mm-hmm.
I have a definition that I go by, but
Okay.
what do you mean by it?
I guess I couldn't say a definition off the top of my head. I see what you mean.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
so many people mean so many different things by it. I always go by good old Uncle Aristotle's definition of happiness as eudaimonia, which is rational activity conducted in accordance with virtue.
That doesn't sound very fun, does it? That doesn't sound happy, rational, virtuous. That's not happiness. That's duty. Congratulations, sir. You just given us the definition of duty. Doing one's duty does not necessarily make one happy. I go to work every day. I'm not happy about that. Matter of fact, I go to work, I do my job, but I'm counting in my back of my mind. I'm counting the minutes till I can go home and be with my family. That makes me happy. Not this rational virtuousness that you speak of.
And so the reason I mention this is not just because I love, the old dead thinkers, but because I think they had something right that will help to guide us through this very confused modern time. The way that you are describing marriage seems to be from an unmoored perspective of
And what?
unmoored, meaning not grounded
means.
in something. Meaning it's a little subjective. It's a little wishy-washy. Men can do whatever they like. You pick.
That's not
Some
what I
people have a
said.
different purpose.
That's not what I said.
I thought you said men can do whatever.
Be right back. Hey, sweetie. I'm just about finishing up a podcast I'm doing that. I'm taking the kids to Old Navy. Okay. 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 Mm-hmm. It's okay. 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 How many costumes can they have? One pair or two? Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. 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 Well, that you can grab my weight. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. 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 I did, but I do. But now remember now. So okay. Oh, nice. Oops. Okay. No worries. Okay. All right. You too. Okay, bye. Back again. A little bit more.
Whatever they like. Then I'm not going to you took issue with me for saying that I was coming to a moral judgment about how men.
No, I think that every man has to decide for himself. But I wouldn't recommend, say, like
How should he decide?
following, in an ideal world, following God and his purpose.
Right. So following God and and how do we come to know our purpose?
I mean, I think following God typically meant
How do we follow God?
Going to church every Sunday, praying. I think there's ways that you can't, studying the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not like a preacher.
You're not. The thing you keep leaving out. I agree. All those things are very good to do.
Yeah.
The thing you keep leaving out is reason, and it's the thing you keep taking issue with me, where I keep saying marriage is a rational act.
It was. I don't know if it is now.
But even though the laws are bad and the politicians are dummies, even still, it's a rational act over and above the qualities of the state because of human nature. Because men and women are different. Because we are a rational creature, so we can perceive of things like abstract justice. Animals can't do that. My whiskey glass can't do that. So we can do that. Men and women are different. We're not. Like the feminists say, they say we're identical. We're not identical.
I agree.
We're not, and like the feminists and some it would seem of the red pill guys would imply we're not totally opposed to one another in our interests. Who would suggest this?
Yeah, no, you guys always say red pill guys. I never know.
I don't like to give them airtime because I find them to be huge jerks and they have smaller audiences and I don't want to popularize them. But I think we know some of the people that we're talking about.
Okay.
And if you think it's an unfair characterization, please tell me. I think that
I don't speak.
I'm petty as shit. Who? Who? Pearl gives you a pass. I don't. And I'm not true red. I'm not hardcore red pill. I said that for nothing. But I would love to know who you speak of. And say it with your chest, damn it. Stand on your square. You got something to say? Say it.
Speak for every red pill guy.
But you're describing the interests of men and women as being quite opposed. You've been talking about it this whole time.
And again, he doesn't go there. Oh, shoot.
The mothers when they're staying
the way
at home
the way the laws are today.
Not just the laws, the behaviors. You're saying the mother at home is poisoning the children against their father.
It's very common.
Right. So anyway, that's the view I'm discussing.
Very common.
But again, I don't think that is ultimately the relation between men and women is hostile interests. I think, call me crazy and old-fashioned, I think that men and women are complementary.
All right. You're old-fashioned because that's the way it should be. That's not the way it is. That's not the way it is. That's not the way it's been for a while now. Sure, there are individual examples that you could give that would show how complementary they are. My wife and I are a prime example. My mother and father, they are examples. But that's not the whole of society. That is statistically insignificant. That's not saying that it doesn't happen. That's not saying it's not important. But in terms of the total scheme of things, that does not factor in. It just doesn't. You can cry about it, and you can whine about it, and you can stomp your feet about it and have a tissy fit and everything else. Doesn't change it. And the sooner you realize that, the better off you'll be. This interview was 38 minutes and 59 seconds. Watch it. I'll leave the link below. And do with it as you will. Just try not to throw things at the monitor screen. You could break it. And as always, this podcast and others in the Jazzy Groove Rainy Day podcast family are brought to you by the power of 5. Like, second. Comment, 3 seconds. Subscribe, 1 second. Notify, 1 second. Share, 2 seconds. Between 8 and 10 seconds out of a 24-hour day. You can do it. I believe in you. With that being said, we're going to close it up. Thank you all for letting me pontificate and rant and rave and act silly and everything else. This is No F's Given. And until the next, peace out.